From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for the debate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as India roars in support of Arnab, we tell you we're on the path of victory, the path of truth. Today, there has been a resounding success, viewers, that we all get from the Supreme Court that has protected Arnab from arrest in the privilege motion case. Today, the Supreme Court, infuriated with the Maharashtra Assembly Secretary, also issued a contempt notice. They asked him, how dare he try and say that Arnab could not approach the Supreme Court against the tone and tenor of the letters written by the Maharashtra Assembly. They asked him why was he trying to intimidate, threaten him with penalty. And today, even as viewers, the Supreme Court came out with this order. Our senior advocate, Mr. Hari Salve, in the Bombay High Court, appearing for the bail, appearing for the illegal detention of Arnab, Goswami, also made pointed arguments on the illegality of this. Remember, this is also happening as today Hansa has moved a criminal writ petition in the courts of the country, saying and giving out details of the way they've been harassed by the Mumbai police. All this also coming when the witness coercion tapes against the Mumbai police have officially today been handed over to the CBI. As all this is happening, viewers, you've stood with us. India continues to be with Arnab. Today, as Arnab spends his third night in judicial custody, we continue to fight the good fight. The fight for truth, the fight for justice, and we're not giving up with your support. These are two debates that we have lined up today. Let's now take a look at that. Debate number one today, we show you how Maharashtra Assembly said to the country that asks them, how dare they? How dare they think they can play with the rights of the citizen of the country and try and intimidate Arnab Goswami? They also protect Arnab from arrest. And debate number two today, ladies and gentlemen, Hansa is now going to take Mumbai police to the court. They are going to Mumbai police in the court. Why they were intimidated? All these answers in the court, even as the CBI is also going to probe the witness court, even as the CBI is also going to probe the witness coercion case that is also clearly showing us the pack of lies all coming crumbling down. And here today, Friday evening, are the headlines on the debate. The Supreme Court issues contempt notice to Maharashtra Assembly Secretary for his October 13 letter intimidating Arnab. We also tell you the Chief Justice of India roars in the court. How dare Uddhav's officer try to threaten a citizen from approaching the top court? Special Saturday hearing in the Bombay High Court tomorrow. Arguments on Arnab's illegal arrest to continue. Legal Hari Salve highlights the illegality of arrest with his strong arguments in the Bombay High Court today. Hansa goes to the court against Mumbai police. The CBI gears up to probe the coercion tape fake cases today, viewers, are falling apart. And Union Home Minister Amit Shah sends a strong message: will not tolerate an attack on the democracy.
The nation watched these pictures in horror. Republic Media Network editor-in-chief Arnab Goswami's illegal arrest has united 1 billion Indians in this unprecedented fight against despotic tendencies.
We fully support Arnab.
This is a death of democracy.
Arnab, we are with you.
The world roars for you, Arnab.
We are in full support of Arnab.
Republic is fighting this battle in the courts of the country. Today in Supreme Court, when India's topmost legal luminary Harish Salve informed the CJI about the happenings with regards to the breach of privilege motion case against Arnab, CJI Bobre was left shocked and furious.
The Supreme Court today issued a contempt notice to the Maharashtra Assembly Secretary for threatening Arnab when he approached the Supreme Court for protection of his rights. The Supreme Court also questioned why the Secretary had written such letters that were intimidatory and threatened penalty on Arnab for having approached the top court. Harish Salve, senior advocate who appeared for Arnab in the court, said case after case is being put against Arnab. Even now, he is in jail, he is being threatened. There is constitutional courts who need to see the reality and sometimes not see the smoke screen that is being shown.
The words used by the Chief Justice of India, how dare he, a reflection of the mood of the nation. The Maharashtra Assembly Secretary has been show-caused. The highest court of the country has asked him to explain why contempt proceedings shouldn't be initiated against him for threatening Arnab. The court has also granted Arnab Goswami protection from arrest in the breach of privilege case. Harish Salve presented before the Lordships facts of the case. He said Arnab is being threatened and questioned. Case after case is being filed. Reality should be seen, not just the smoke screen. He also informed the court that they said Arnab will spend Diwali in jail. In the High Court too, Mr. Salve called a spade during the hearing on Arnab's plea challenging the illegal arrest and seeking quashing of the FIR.
The Bombay High Court heard illegal detention case of Arnab at 3 p.m. today. Hearing senior advocate Mr. Harish Salve, he spoke greatly to the bench about the malafide in the case. He clearly raised the simple aspect case after case is going against Arnab. He said when in 2 cases Arnab got some protection from the court, the TRP case came. He said similarly now the suicide cases come. He then spoke of the merits of the case and said this is a civil case and there was no relationship between Arnab and the deceased. He also went on to say that this is clearly malafide. In fact, there is malafide intention here.
It's not about one man anymore. It's about what his fight symbolizes. Vested interests cannot plunge New India into the emergency era because vendetta cannot drown this voice.
The idea of the Republic Network is an idea of not just a channel but a movement that stands for a new India. And they hate it when I say I am a nationalist. Everyone must be a nationalist to be a journalist. What is wrong with that? We are the new age media organizations like the Republic Media Network. And we are sworn to use the privilege of broadcasting news to the nation as an opportunity to defeat all the nation's enemies. The day I was born on the soil of this country as a free citizen of this great country.
Let's debate.
As we're hearing the words of the Chief Justice of India, the one thing he said today, viewers, is how dare he? And that's the emotion that we are left with in this thing. Let me welcome our panelists today. First, I introduce Senior Executive Editor Abhishek Kapoor, who's also co-anchoring this debate with me. I'm joined on the guest with our panelist Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Madhu Kishwar, who's joining us. We've got Ratan Sharda, who's with us, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Ishkaran Bhandari, A.N. Mittal and Swapnil Kothari. Today was a very highly worded debate, and I come to you, Ratan Sharda and Sanju Verma in this case first. Sanju Verma, we've seen very, very closely what happened inside the courtroom when the Supreme Court issued a contempt notice. But the language, the way they got angry, and the one thing, as we remember today, Arnab is spending his third day, his third night in judicial custody. The words that Mr. Salve used are very poignant because he used the same words in the Bombay High Court hearing and in the Supreme Court. He said they are warning him even now, he will spend his Diwali in jail. Is this the motive? Is this the witch hunt? Is this what the final attempt of this government is? As the Supreme Court clearly says, no one can come and no one can stop anyone coming to ask for protection.
Rhythm, you have summed up the entire case and its precedents very succinctly. For the benefit of your audience, let me tell you that what has happened with Arnab is not just illegal detention, which has categorically been stated even by the Chief Judicial Magistrate, who said that not only is the arrest illegal, but the fact that he was arrested under section 156(3) of the CRPC, citing that a magisterial probe had been reordered, it was a blatant lie, because neither was a court reinvestigation order received or taken by the local police authorities, that is the Raigad police, nor could they have arrested him under 156(3) of the CRPC, because no magisterial probe had been reordered in a case which had closed 2 years back. So the fact that every constitutional precedent was breached, the law was breached with blatant impunity, I think that is for everyone to see. The fact that Arnab has become bigger, I said this 2 days back on your debate and I reinforce that even more vehemently. I want to tell one more thing, that the speaker in the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly, he is not immune. Please note, Rhythm, just like Article 105 of the Constitution grants certain powers, immunities and privileges to the Lok Sabha speaker, ditto Article 194 gives them privileges, that is the speaker, in the various state legislatures. But the Constitution says that power of the speaker is not absolute. It is not absolute. And I always say the license to arrest, the license to exercise your power is also the license not to arrest, is also the license to use your power with discretion. But here, we see a rogue state that has been violating everything. I'm reminded of Noam Chomsky's very, very pertinent quote where he says the only thing which is worse than global terrorism or nuclear proliferation is a nation that has gone rogue, which works like long-range missiles and which can destroy the honest citizen in any country or nation. And I think in the case of Arnab, but I don't think this is going to destroy him. It's going to make him stronger, because I've been watching your channel from Jaipur to Chandigarh to Bangalore. The kind of support that we've seen for him is unprecedented. It is overwhelming, but I'm glad this happened because it exposes the Lutyens' lobby. It exposes the Khan Market Brigade, which says that we are the beacons of freedom of expressions. We are the champions of free speech. But look at the mildly worded letter by the Editors Guild. Look at the absolutely zero condemnation with the cat getting their tongue from the News Broadcasters Association, which otherwise says we stand for free, fair and independent journalism. So this has also showcased the hypocrisy of the so-called liberal media. And I think this is a precursor for everyone to see that whenever the Congress is in a very important position in any alliance, a rogue state is what is in full display. And I think here we need to question Anil Deshmukh, we need to question the Minister of State for Home, Sambharaj Desai, who apparently ordered the SP of Raigad to go and arrest Arnab under section 173(8) of the CRPC, which today has been declared illegal by the CJM. And I was surprised. I thought he would be, acquitted and freed today. The fact that he has to spend one more night in judicial custody is obviously something which I'm, very disappointed about. But like I said, this is, you sometimes lose the battles to win the war. And I think Arnab will win the war.
Yes, of course. He would win the war. He would come back roaring.
Yes.
Sanju Verma, you made valid arguments, one of which
Yes.
I would want to pick up, which is the role of the speaker. You know, the privileges law that is given is for the institution. It is not for the individual or not for the individual's ego. Ratan Sharda, you know, it seemed almost that during the proceedings, the honorable justices in the Supreme Court could see that the language used in the notice by the official of the Maharashtra Assembly could perhaps have been dictated. And in that sense, the role of the speaker comes into play. You think that the judges could be going there once the hearing proceeds, and the fact that very intemperate, intimidating language has been used could go against Maharashtra Assembly?
See, first of all, let me share my grief. I am not here to celebrate that Arnab is going to become a hero or he's a hero. He's suffering for fighting for freedom of press. He's suffering because he stood up for truth. And we here sit in the newsroom saying that he has become a big hero. For me, that's not really a great consolation. For me, it's the oppression of state that really hurts me. It's my grief that all the powerful parties have not been able to see to it that rogue state doesn't go that way. It hurts me when having 200 cases slapped
by the top court of the country.
Supreme Court has slapped Maharashtra government when they put 200 cases. Every government when they put 200 cases against Arnab. Remember, there's a political fight very clearly. The Maharashtra government knows that some small government servant will go under the hammer. A court will pull that woman or man up, slap them with some penalty or some, ask them to apologize. Political leadership will go free. The entire effort is to somehow keep on demeaning court, knowing that ultimately nothing much will come out of it. So courts can keep shouting. They will get some government servant to speak for it. And funny enough, there is no privileges committee in Maharashtra Assembly. We know that Atul, the BJP MLA told you that there is no privileges committee. So who is putting up this privilege case? No one has a right, because privileges committees are supposed to discuss it, is supposed to summon the person. So this is totally fraud and total failure of how they are misusing the laws, how they are misusing the constitution, and they have no respect for the constitution. Their only effort is that somehow make Republic
a breach of law at multiple levels.
They will try to see that he doesn't come for the Bihar exit for election. Yes, everywhere, but politicians will not be caught. It is a small government fry who will be caught, who will be pulled up by the courts, but they give a damn to it because they know that ultimately their job is to harass a person who has stood up. Their job is to harass a person. See, the language used is typically Shiv Senic language. What they have done, they have put Shiv Sena at the front. For the NCP Congress, who are very old hands at such games of oppressing people, so they are using him. That same mentality, and the Shiv Sena doesn't know how to use the language. That language the IS officer could have told, this is not the right language. But they say, okay, whatever boss says. So this supplication to the government, which is not even a valid government, come up with the cheating the people.
I'll come to the Shiv Sena Congress aspect in a bit, and everyone else can feel free to join. Let me go to Ishkaran Bhandari on to legal points, before I go to Madhu Kishwar. Ishkaran, there is this doctrine of clean hands, where you approach a court or you approach equity with clean hands. Then there is the concept of mens rea. On both counts, it seems the Maharashtra government and the Maharashtra police seem to be wanting. They have manipulated facts in almost all the investigations. They have not given Arnab the time to even reach the assembly. The notice reaches 10 minutes before the appointed time. And now the kind of intimidating language used actually to threaten Arnab from and asking him to desist from going to the Supreme Court and thus exercise his fundamental rights. I mean, it's a clear case of breach of all basic principles of constitutional morality.
No, this is not a breach of, not merely a breach of the constitutional principles of morality. This is active interference in the administration of justice. That is why the Supreme Court has taken the strongest step it could take. Let's be clear. While there is nothing to celebrate, I agree with Mr. Sharda, because Arnab is still in jail. But in the case before the Supreme Court took the strongest step it could take by saying that you are choking off a person's right to approach the Supreme Court. you are trying to intimidate him, and that they have issued a show cause of contempt to the secretary. And this is what I say, that wheels of justice may move slowly. In this case, I think they are moving a little slowly, but they do move, and people who do wrong do get and will be held accountable for all that is happening. Second part here, which is also extremely important, is that answer to the High Court. I don't have a copy of the petition, but what I have heard, they are alleging that they are being forced to give statements they don't want to give. That is again an interference in administration of justice. That is again also criminal offences if that stands established that what they are saying is actually true, and they, prima facie, don't have any reason to lie because they are the complainant. So in that scenario, it may take time, but I do believe and I do hope that the court takes very serious action on these steps where you are interfering not only with an accused, forget Arnab for a second, where you are interfering with the administration of justice, where you want certain statements to come from complainant, where you do not want an accused to present the full facts before the Supreme Court. That is not merely about the person in this case. That is about the entire democratic system, the entire judicial system, the entire rule of law. That is why enough people are saying that it appears rule of law seems to be breaking down here.
Absolutely. And Ishkaran, I also want, you've seen the system very, very closely. I want to also come to Madhu Kishwar. Madhu Kishwar, you've seen what they've done. They've done everything in their power to put case after case to ensure one man is arrested. This is a strategy that was possibly started in August, our sources tell us, and it's now come to a culmination. Today, the Supreme Court spoke about intimidation. Was it not intimidation when they were trying to do what they were in the Palghar case and we had to move to the top court? Was it not intimidation when Parambir Singh in a press conference on the 8th of October spoke about Republic TV when we were not named in the TRP case? Was it not intimidation when calculated leaks were given out in newspapers and proceeds of crime were being spoken of? Was it not intimidation when we were being called Hawala, when Arnab was called a Hawala operator, when in fact there was absolutely no evidence in the case? Yet again they've proven they will go to any lengths, any limits to continue this witch hunt, Madhu Kishwar.
I think the last sentence you spoke is the most relevant one. They can go to any limits. And therefore, I am one of those who's terribly worried about Arnab's life and safety. When you say they can go to any length, yes, they can go to any length that includes endangering his life. They've already tried that. They could do to Arnab what they did to Sadhvi Pragya, what they did to Colonel Purohit. And it's all very well to talk of wheels of justice, but will Sadhvi Pragya ever get justice? She'll be dead before that because she's been crippled for life. Will Colonel Purohit ever get justice? No, far from it. The point is, I am really worried and anxious why the courts are not freeing him. It's the easiest thing for the High Court and the Supreme Court to say the rest can follow, but please allow him to go back to the safety of his home. Why is he not safely in his home? Why even in judicial custody? Because Parambir Singh and his boss is behind. He's not alone. After all those who fake the Hindu terror narrative and brutalize so many lives are not just a few rogue cops in Maharashtra police. There are big mafias, international mafias behind it all. And that's why they're so important. So to my mind, the most important thing is to ensure that Arnab comes home safely, and why is the court not... all very well for the Supreme Court to say, how dare he? All very well for them to make fire statements. But the first thing to ensure is he's back home. And he's a free man, because the cases are mala fide. And whatever merit or demerit there is, it's not as if he's going to escape. He's not going to flee the country. He has cooperated fully. I really think it's also the judicial system that is failing us. And the idea is really to drive terror into the hearts of all media persons, of all public intellectuals who speak truth to power. I think that really, and that message has been driven home. Arnab may not be silenced, but think of how many have actually taken fright, and that worries me. I hear so many journalists say, अगर ये अर्नब के साथ ये हो सकता है, तो हम तो किसी खेत की मूली नहीं है. We can be completely silenced, eliminated in a minute, and that's really worrisome. This is worse than emergency. This is worse than emergency, and this is not
a valid point you have raised.
Yeah.
If this can happen to Arnab, what of the common man? Abhijit Iyer Mitra, you have at some point in time also faced the brunt of the might of the state. What's happening really according to you? Is this just some abuse of power? Or is it little more sinister than that? It is an attempt to muzzle freedom of expression and to set an example that if this can be done to Arnab Goswami, then what of the common man?
Well, look, all abuses of power are fundamentally sinister because they go overboard. That said, I think we should look at what the Supreme Court said today on 2 points. One is the very harsh statement that they've put out against the Secretary of the Assembly. And second is a point I think either Sanju or Ishkaran raised, which was that in the case that he's been arrested, there was no notice of reopening it. However, in both cases, the judiciary did not give bail to Arnab, which should have been given, which shows you that even in the guise of taking on the abuse of legislative privilege, or police privilege, as is the case in the other case, they are really not willing to take on the abuse of power. Now understand, there is only one party here that is abusing its power, and that is the state government, not the central government. In fact, the central government refuses to stand up for any of this. And tweeting is not action. So you can have ministers tweet, but power is power. I'm sorry to use a line from the Game of Thrones that Cersei Lannister uses. I know it's quite funny, but still it has to be said that there are people who say that knowledge is power. There are people who say that XYZ is power, but power is power. There are people who know how to use it, and there are people who do not know how to use it. Now, they can be the party with the difference, or they can actually learn how to use power. And that is entirely up to them. Beyond that, there's really nothing much to say, but I am not as thrilled by the Supreme Court as you are. Remember, they let me down as well. They have also let down Arnab.
Abhijit, yes. There are little complex center-state relations involved. There are complex issues of federalism involved, so you can't say that the center is just standing down and not intervening, because the state might not have reached where the center has to intervene.
There are no complexities here involved. I suggest you go back to what happened with Fatima.
No, these are complex issues. Please understand. At the end of it, for example, Parambir Singh is a state employee. What is important is... No. See, even for the judiciary to take the kind of a stand, for example, the Supreme Court has taken today. Please understand, we are following a certain process. Arnab is a law-abiding citizen. He will go through the process. That's not the issue. The issue is, and Abhijit, the reason I wanted to share from your experience was that this is an attempt to make sure that Arnab falls in line. Arnab is made to pay the price because he is different. Let me get in.
The process is the punishment.
That's what you need to get. That's how sometimes the state rules function. I mean, you can't hold it against the government, but what is important is, let me take this...
The bigger point.
Yes,
okay, I just want to, 1 minute. You know what, even what Sanju Verma had said in the start, and what Abhijit is saying, there are a lot of cases that happen when the wisdom of the courts is seen. But I wanted to ask Swapnil Kothari today. Swapnil, we heard in the Bombay High Court what was said by Harish Salve, the senior advocate. He spoke about everything that's been happening with us. And today I don't want to talk about the courts, but today I want to talk about our particular case. When you were not able to get something Swapnil in the Palghar case and the Paidhoni FIR that you filed in which we got protection from the Bombay High Court, you started a TRP case. When we showed you that in this case we had not done any wrong, Arnab put out his account books on the debate, then we showed you there was an investigation by another digital online investigation which showed there was witness coercion, you immediately moved track and you went to a suicide case. And this is not me speaking, ladies and gentlemen. This is the senior advocate Harish Salve who spoke up in court. And today, it's not only him. Abhijit, I also want you to see what the Chief Judicial Magistrate, a very strong lady, very upright, spoke up when a marathon arguments took place before her, and she very clearly said there are certain points on illegality of arrest. No permission has even been taken before reopening of the case like Sanju Verma spoke about. So Swapnil, the bigger point here, when you're getting no case, like Mr. Salve said, case after case after case continues to be dragged on. What is your final motive? Are you trying to tell us that in this day and era, you will really go back to the emergency?
Rhythm, that's unfortunate, in fact, because apparently the real motive seems to be to gag the press and attack the fourth pillar of democracy, which is a free press, a freely speaking press. Because as Mr. Harish Salve pointed out, that one after the other, all the cases have been there, which do not have any particular trajectory or any legal trajectory, to so to speak. Then you come out with a case which you exhume a dead case and you revive it to throttle a alive freedom of press and alive channel. Now that unfortunately is the case today. And what has happened is that you also before that took out a privilege motion and stating this letter. In fact, let me point out 194.2 of Article 194.2 of the Constitution, which says that this member of the legislature, any member, whatever said and whatever vote casted. So this is neither said nor there is a vote cast. That is immune from court proceedings. But this is not said or vote. This is a letter telling Arnab Goswami that if you go to a court of law, then this is confidential in nature. So what this means is that you as a citizen cannot invoke Article 32 of the Constitution. And let me remind the legislature and not only the Maharashtra legislature, but all the legislatures in the country, that judicial review is a part of the basic structure of the Constitution. And it's an integral part of the basic structure. So you to say that the judges will not be able to look at X or Y just because you are immune from certain things is not going to work out at all. The judicial review extends to the entire branch of the Constitution, every single limb of the Constitution. Now, having said that, the frowning of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is a very, very important frown. And if I was there in that position, in the position of any legislature, I would take it very seriously because it comes from the pater familias of the Indian judiciary, which is the father of the Indian judiciary, that is the Chief Justice of India. Now, having said that, again, coming back to your case in which Arnab is still in judicial custody, these things happen day in, day out in a court proceeding where one side finishes its arguments or is about to finish, takes about 1.5 hours, and the judges listen to you patiently. And then they have to give you the chance to give the chance to the others so that the audi alteram partem rule, that is here both the sides, is fully satisfied. So that tomorrow, if any decision is passed against either party, no party can say that you did not hear me and unnecessarily waste the time of a higher court and unnecessarily, retrace the steps. So we want that Arnab should be out of jail, out of judicial custody, but in such a manner that there is no chance of any appeal surviving if any appeal is ever made. So I am very happy that tomorrow their lordships are going to take it up at 12 p.m. and hopefully things should work out in favor of Article 14, Article 19, Article 21, and not just Mr. Arnab Goswami, because this is not Arnab Goswami. This is a bigger picture. Now this has gone beyond Arnab Goswami and Republic Channel. This has gone to the freedom of the press.
Go ahead. Yes.
Can I please come in now?
Absolutely.
Abhishek, can I please come in? I need to make a few quick points.
Sanju, you come in, but I have a question for you. Answer that question, Sanju Verma. I have heard that in Mumbai, the RSS Shakhas, I should have given this question to Ratan Sharda, but let me give it to Sanju first and then Ratan Sharda can join in. I have heard in Mumbai, the RSS Shakhas and the Shiv Sena Shakhas happen close by, together. What is the morale of the Shiv Sainik? How comfortable are they in this cohabitation of the Thackeray family now with the Congress party of Sonia Antonio Manu? What is the comfort of Shiv Sena at the manner in which Arnab is being hounded by their government? Please tell me that.
Abhishek, I think you've asked a very pertinent, though rather tricky question. I will just say one thing, that, you know, as Ratan Sharda pointed out
that's why I said I go to Ratan Sharda on that.
This whole concept of a rogue state, comes very naturally to the Shiv Sena. And I'm saying this with a lot of responsibility in the manner in which they have chosen to behave and take this entire episode forward. I don't think there's an iota of regret. They are rejoicing. They are pretending as if, you know, this is a big war that has been won. But the more important point that I want to deflect, I'm sorry, Abhishek, I want to come to what Abhijit Iyer Mitra said. You know, this thing has been coming to me through social media, on your television channel debates. Why is the centre not doing something? The simple answer to that is, the easiest thing for the centre to do is to say the law and order machinery has broken down. Let us impose Article 356 of the Constitution. But do you know what will happen, Abhishek? On your channel a couple of weeks back, when Arnab was trying to interview Kamal Nath, he said, "Oh, are you sitting in the BJP studios? We know you're a BJP man." Hypothetically, if you assume that the central government steps in and President's rule is declared, I'm giving you a hypothetical situation.
Sanju Verma, I myself intervened and said
Arnab had no credibility. He did not win. He did not win in the courts. He was rescued by the BJP. I think the fact that Arnab is winning this in the courts lends greater credibility to his fight. So for people who are questioning the central government, please understand, as Abhishek said, it is not just about center-state relations. There is Article 311(2). I'm not being arrogant. Please feel free to go and read that. There is enough in the law book to ensure that Arnab gets justice. As Swapnil Kothari said, it is not just about Article 19 or Article 21.
Sanju Verma,
Let me tell you, Section 156(3), Section 173(8), Section 37 to Section 44 and Section 82 of the CRPC.
I heard that.
Everything has been violated.
Yes.
And you should also tell your audience that 10 hours back, the Hansa Research Group has decided to file a case against Sachin Vaze, against the Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh, and against the state of Maharashtra.
Exactly.
And I think in these kind of cases, rather than the central government meddling and trying to prove that we are running a banana republic, it is important for the courts to intervene so that Arnab's final
Sanju Verma, that case is very crucial.
Has greater credibility. So I think stop questioning the bona fides of the central government. Do not question the bona fides. We have said it in public domain, from Amit Shah to JP Nadda to Nirmala Sitharaman. Every tall leader has said we condemn it unequivocally. And are you telling me that these elected representatives and finance minister of the country, when they make a statement, it means nothing? Are you kidding me? And for Abhijit, who quoted Game of Thrones, it also said that revenge is
Home Minister, not one but twice.
I understand the support that is coming in, but the bigger point, Sanju Verma, that has to be made here is the support is coming in from Indians. And Sanju Verma, the support is coming not only from Indians here, but across India. When the support is coming in, we are completely overwhelmed, not only from what you're seeing, support that's coming in like you're seeing, but if you actually see when children are writing in, when people from abroad are telling us we are having protests, we've seen across cities protests are being held, we understand that the support that India has and the support Arnab has is first with the Indians, is first with the 130 crore Indians who are continuing to support him, and he doesn't need, he's very clear about it, he doesn't need the support of anyone else. And Mittal, we've not come to you, and this is one question I wanted to ask you. You're on the UP Law Commission, sir. This is very clearly a matter of law. We've spoken a lot about it. We've also seen political games that have been played here. We've seen the wild goose chase. But look at the accounts, details that had been asked for from Republic TV. When summons had been issued, and these are 15 employees, 15 colleagues of mine at Republic TV who were summoned for over 200 hours. Not only they, but investors were summoned, and then we were told to give details of every toilet paper, every stationery we used. If this, as someone who's been a very close part of a law commission, doesn't seem to you to be a part of someone trying to get back because of vendetta and malice, then I want to understand what constitutes that, because they just wanted to make a point here.
I think this debate is moving more politically than legally. I am here to answer only the legal questions. I am not supporting any political party. I am not opposing any political party. I am here only to discuss the legal point, if any. And as most of the panelists said that judiciary has failed in its duty. No, I do not agree with that, and I strongly condemn that. Basically what happens that when senior lawyers argue in a court, it is the duty of the court to hear both the parties. When the lawyers of the structure of Mr. Harish Salve and Manu Singhvi, they are arguing before the court, then it is the duty of the court to provide them ample opportunity of hearing. And one friend said that it is the principle of audi alteram paltram. Yes, everybody has to be heard patiently, and after that the judges will pronounce the order. As far as the Supreme Court is concerned, certainly the Supreme Court has taken a very strong view, but that is on a limited point of privilege motion. The matter of arrest of the Arnab Goswami by the Maharashtra police is not before Honorable the Supreme Court. This matter is before Honorable the High Court. And as far as the comment of Chief Judicial Magistrate is concerned that it was illegal, I ask that Chief Judicial Magistrate that if at the time of remand he or she was of the view that the arrest is illegal, then why she granted the remand? Why she granted the judicial custody? She could have rejected the remand. She should have at once freed the accused at that point of time if there was no sufficient evidence against him to arrest him. Secondly,
very valid point
as
made
far
by
as the
Mr.
provisions
Mittal.
of section 156(3) CRP, as far as the provisions of section 156(3) CRPC are concerned, under that provision the magistrate has the power to direct the police to register a case and investigate. And I think there is no such application under section 156(3) CRPC. As far as I know from the media as well as of the print media, the closure report was accepted in 2019. It was accepted by the then court, yes.
Yes, you see, Mr. Mittal, you are making a valid point on 173.8. I think we have discussed this, but Ratan Sharda wants to make a point. Ratan Sharda, before you make your point, I believe on the Shiv Sena Shakha, but I have a question to add. You know, the court also went on to appoint an amicus. Now, that's a significant step for the court to take, which essentially suggests that the court is not sure about the integrity of the submissions made by the Maharashtra government.
Yes. As I said, you know, there can't be anything more damning than continuous censure by the Supreme Court of the Maharashtra government. That's out of question. So we can keep on debating, but they will keep on making this override the court because they know ultimately some poor civil servant will pay the price. They will not pay the price for going against the courts. My another point, important point is that this particular case, they had talked about courts and all, but let us see how the Shiv Sena is reacting. You ask me. First, please do not compare RSS Shakhas with Shiv Sena Shakhas. These days, actually, because of COVID, they are not running on the ground.
No, secondly, there was no comparison except for that they are held together nearby.
People who only do sattvic things, these people go on the, yes, I'll come to the, no, because people find that, you know, people equivalent. This is not equivalence. These people go sit in the Shakha and do whatever they want to do. They have a different way. Shakha means only branch, don't compare the two. The entire approach to the motherland, to patriotism, very different. Now coming to the main point, I can tell you, Shiv Sena has lost support from its cadre. They are embarrassed. Common Marathi person is totally embarrassed, totally against Shiv Sena. So if you say there is no difference, people are happy with it, I'm sorry. A few people who are making hey, while the sun shines, they may put a brave front, but basically a cadre level Shiv Sainik who has worked for years under inspiration of Bala Saheb, and also people who are Marathi people who worked with the Shiv Sena, many of them voted because BJP was there. They are totally disenchanted, totally angry and very angry. And all these legals who throw articles have to throw at them. But let me tell you with all humility to BJP that common people are, the perception battle of the BJP is lost in the mind of common people. My people, my close ones shout at me saying, what is the BJP doing? I am not responsible for what BJP does, but I can tell you whatever we keep on saying on the TV. But basically the war of perception, BJP has been damaged very badly because of this incidents. And Arnab will rise. Similarly, BJP will have to show something on the ground that they were there, they have come on the ground, they have taken on posters, all that's fine. But I can tell you within my own family, hardcore BJP supporters are not happy, very angry. Who is responsible? They don't see
that.
The
BJP is not running a kangaroo court, Mr. Sharda. The BJP is not running a kangaroo court. We need to believe in the courts. We need to
Sanju Verma.
Miss Sanju Verma, I didn't want to.
Sanju Verma, we all believe in the courts, and he's making an opinion, he's giving an opinion, and Ratan Sharma is making some valid points.
I have fought for years for BJP. Don't teach me.
We are not a banana republic.
You do not need to. I'm just telling people are angry. A perception, but it's lost your time to teach me what is kangaroo court. Please give respect to people.
No, we are not
Please
a banana
give respect
republic.
to people's sentiment.
What are you trying
it's
to
not
say?
an incident debate, not legal debate we are talking about. I talked of perception battle. I did not use kangaroo court. You are using
Sanju
the
Verma is making a point of view that has to be heard, and it's not. Yes.
I request you. I made a point of people are
Sanju Verma, 1 minute. Let him make the point he's making.
So please do not make a spectacle in front of people.
No, I beg to disagree. I beg to
disagree. Correct. Sanju Verma, let him make the point he's making. The point you are making, you made already. Sanju Verma, you made the point. Let Ratan continue with the point. Ratan Sharda.
To do their job.
God.
Ratan Sharda, just calm down.
Ratan Sharda is making a point. Sanju Verma, you made the point. We heard it. Ratan Sharda is making that point. I in fact wanted to just continue with one point.
Did anybody talk about kangaroo court? Did anybody talk about BJP didn't do anything? I said there's a perception. It is for the BJP to correct the perception or make a very egoist statement on the TV. It's up to them. Good
Valid.
Let me come on the issue of perception.
So, sir, I am just
Okay, Rhythm, go on.
Social
Rhythm,
media,
go on.
I don't think people have a wrong perception. Even I'm there.
Sanju Verma.
Here to the ground.
Sanju Verma, I have to stop you, Sanju Verma.
I think you are getting a little touchy without reason because he didn't make any such point. He didn't even speak about something that you're getting touchy about. There was no such thing about kangaroo courts, and let's not get and delve into that because the bottom line that what he's speaking about, and I have to respect Ratan Sharda, very eminent person, and he started off by saying, today is the day in which we are standing in also grief. We all understand also today what he said. It is the third night that Arnab is in judicial custody as someone who's always been a member of the free press. And I also take, and I've been hearing very carefully what everybody's been saying. Abhijit Mitra spoke up, Madhu Kishwar spoke up, several of you spoke about the silence of certain people. You in fact started talking about the Editors Guild. The bottom line is I didn't even think it's necessary to go into what Editors Guild is doing. We're not looking for perfunctory fake sympathy.
Tomorrow government comes on me, nobody's going to protect me. So don't teach me what is good or bad. I have suffered the freedom of press. I have gone to jail. Don't teach me how to talk about the government.
Yes, Ishkaran.
You should understand.
Rhythm, just 2 points. Rhythm, 2 short points if I can. Rhythm, just 1 short point here if I can.
I am attacked by the BJP.
Rhythm,
okay, Ishkaran wants to make a point. Let's cool down the tempers because today is more show of solidarity. Ishkaran wants to make a point. Let's hear him. Ishkaran, go ahead.
Thank you. Rhythm, let us be very clear. Let us be very clear.
Yes, sure. Thank you. You have an opinion. I have the right to give my opinion. I have the right to give my opinion.
Okay, Rhythm, can I come and make my point? The Honorable,
Sure, Ishkaran, go ahead.
Sanju Verma, let Ishkaran get his chance.
Rhythm, thank you. Rhythm, firstly, one point is very clear. that the Honorable Supreme Court in the matter before it has passed what I think is an excellent order, because you cannot cut off any citizen's right to access to justice. Secondly, Ratanji is somebody I'm extremely fond of, and he is my senior. So I think what he means is in a very constructive way about battles of perceptions, and a lot of things happen on perception. So I, as somebody who is very fond of Ratan Shahja ji, completely take his point, though BJP may disagree with that. He is talking about perceptions, and we have to face reality as well as perception. But in court, what is happening in Supreme Court was a good day for Arnab, and what is happening in High Court, while some may feel it slow, I feel it slow, but it's the procedure of law where both sides have to be heard, and the High Court is doing it. And hopefully tomorrow, since High Court is having a hearing on Saturday, they would complete the hearing, conclude the hearing, and I hope we will have Arnab doing a 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. show tomorrow.
Rhythm, can I come in?
Absolutely. Amen to that. And as Ishkaran, you are saying, absolutely Ishkaran, as you're saying, that's something we are hoping at. All of us have our fingers crossed, because as our editor-in-chief, like I said, is spending his third night in judicial custody, the nation continues to be with him, and this is something we're ready to be in the long haul for, because this is a good fight. It's a fight, as I thank our panelists for being with us. We're in for, because we're fighting for truth with conviction of Indians who continue to stand by us. I thank you all for being with Abhishek and me on the first debate tonight.